as far as possible, I request you to turn on your cameras so we can see your moon-like faces, and it will be more personal. Okay, that's better. So I will begin by singing the Mangalacharna prayers and leading a short kirtan, and then we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam about the appearance of Lord Narsimhadev. Nice to see all of you. Vaishnava Savijata Bhavana Vikram Sajivam Sadvaitam Savidutam Harijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Giriraj Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Shakanvitam Namah Krishna Prasad Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Om Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Chamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhakta-vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So again, my dear devotees, as far as possible, please put on your cameras so we can see your moon-like faces, and it will be more personal. Chai. Thank you. So today's subject is the appearance of Lord Narsimhadev, and I will read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8. The Lord slays the king of the demons. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I will begin by reading text 9. Jaya Surambhavamimam Kamatmana Samam Mano Dasvana Shanti Vidvisha Riteji Tad Atmana Utpate Sati Tat Taddi Anu Antasya Mahat Samarhananam. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj continued, My dear father, please give up your demonic mentality. Do not discriminate in your heart between enemies and friends. Make your mind equipoised toward everyone. Except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy within this world. When one sees everyone on the platform equality, one then comes to the position of worshiping the Lord personally. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Unless one is able to fix the mind at the lotus feet of the Lord, the mind is impossible to control. As Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita 6:34, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadridam tasyam nigram manye vayor eva suduskaram. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, it seems to me, is more difficult than controlling the wind. The only bona fide process for controlling the mind is to fix the mind by service to the Lord. We create enemies and friends according to the dictation of the mind, but actually there are no enemies and friends. Pandita Samadarshana. Samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. To understand this is the preliminary condition for entering into the kingdom of God. So Pandita Samadarshana, that's a line from Bhagavad Gita, Vidivinay Sampane Brahmane Gavihastini, Suni Chaiva Svapakita Pandita Samadarshana. And incidentally, that was the verse I spoke on when for the very first time I gave a class in the old Boston temple. So yes, Pandita Samadarshana, learned person sees everyone equally. And the other verse to which Srila Prabhupada referred in the purport is Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakte Lavate Param. And that verse is Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, Vasochiti Nakamshiti, Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Lavate Param. So Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, when one is transcendentally situated, Prasanatma, he becomes joyful, Brahmabhuta Prasanata, Vasochiti Nakamshiti, he neither hankers or laments for anything. Samasarveshu Bhuteshu, he sees all living entities equally as spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Mad Bhakti Labhate Param, and thus one can attain devotional service to Krishna. Then that's 10. Dasyan Purasana Vijit Dasyan Purasana Vichitampato Anyeta Ek Swajita Di Shodasha Chitatmano Gyasya Samasya Dehinam Sado Samoha Prabhava Kuta Pare. In former times there were many fools like you who did not conquer the 6 enemies that steal away the wealth of the body. These fools were very proud, thinking, I have conquered all enemies in the 10 directions. But if a person is victorious over the 6 enemies and is equipoised toward all living entities, for him there are no enemies. Enemies are merely imagined by one in ignorance. Report. In this material world, everyone thinks that he has conquered his enemies, not understanding that his enemies are his uncontrolled mind and 5 senses, manasastani indriyani, prakriti stani karshati. In this material world, everyone has become a servant of the senses. Yes, Godas. We want to become Goswamis, master of the senses. But in the material world, people are Godas, servants of the senses. Originally, everyone is a servant of Krishna. But in ignorance, one forgets this. And thus one is engaged in the service of Maya through lusty desires, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy. Everyone is actually dependent on the reactions of material laws, but still one thinks himself independent and thinks that he has conquered all directions. In conclusion, one who thinks that he has many enemies is an ignorant man, whereas one who is in Krishna consciousness knows that there are no enemies but those within himself, the uncontrolled mind and senses. Jai. Text 11. Shri Hiranyakasipur Uvacha Vyaktam Tvam Martikamosmi Yoti Matram Vikatase Mamoshunam Himandatam Manusyur Viklavagira. Translation. Hiranyakashipu replied, You rascal, You are trying to minimize my value as if you are better than me at controlling the senses. This is over-intelligent. I can therefore understand that you desire to die at my hands. For this kind of nonsensical talk is indulged in by those about to die. Report. It is said in Hitopadesh, Upadesho hi murtanam lokapaya nasantaye. If good instructions are given to a foolish person, he does not take advantage of them, but becomes more and more angry. Prahlad Maharaj's authorized instructions to his father were not accepted by Hiranyakasipu as truth. Instead, Hiranyakashipu became increasingly angry at his great son, who was a pure devotee. This kind of difficulty always exists when a devotee preaches Krishna consciousness to persons like Hiranyakashipu, who are interested in money and women. The word Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu refers to cushions or good bedding. Moreover, a father does not like to be instructed by his son, especially if the father is a demon. Prahlad Maharaj's Vaishnava preaching to his demoniac father was indirectly effective, for because of Hiranyakashipu's excessive jealousy of Krishna and his devotees, he was inviting Narsimhadev to kill him very quickly. Thus, he was expediting his being killed by the Lord himself. Although Hiranyakashipu was a demon, he is described here by the added word Shri. Why? The answer is that fortunately he had such a great devotee son as Prahlad. Thus, although he was a demon, he would attain salvation and return home back to Godhead. So yes, the family in which a pure devotee, such as Prahlad Maharaj, appears is liberated. So many generations before and after are liberated just by the devotional service of the pure devotee within the family. So having a pure devotee in a family is the greatest blessing for the entire dynasty. Text 12. Yes, tvaya mandabhagyo ko madanyo jagadishwara vaso yadi sasarvatra kasmat stambena drishyate. O most unfortunate Prahlad, you have always described a supreme being other than me, a supreme being who is above everything, who is the controller of everyone, and who is all-pervading. But where is he? If he is everywhere, then why is he not present before me in this pillar? Purport. Demons sometimes declare to a devotee that they cannot accept the existence of God because they cannot see him. But what the demon does not know is stated by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 7:25. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavrita. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by yoga maya. As the Lord reserves the right not to be seen by anyone and everyone. The Lord is open to being seen by devotees, but non-devotees cannot see him. The qualification for seeing God is stated in Brahma Samhita 5:38. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Valokayanti. Premanjana, when the eyes are smeared with love of God, one can see the Lord always within his heart. A devotee who has developed a genuine love for Krishna can always see him everywhere. Whereas a demon, not having a clear understanding of the Supreme Lord, cannot see him. When Hiranyakashipu was threatening to kill Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad certainly saw the column standing before him and his father, and he saw that the Lord was present in the pillar to encourage him not to fear his demoniac father's words. The Lord was present to protect him. Hiranyakashipu marked Prahlad's observation and asked him, "Where is your God?" Prahlad Maharaj replied, "He is everywhere." Then Hiranyakashipu asked, "Then why is he not in this pillar before me?" Thus, in all circumstances, the devotee can always see the Supreme Lord, whereas the non-devotee cannot. Prahlad Maharaj has here addressed his father as the most unfortunate. Hiranyakasipu thought himself extremely fortunate because he possessed the property of the universe. Prahlad Maharaj, his legitimate son, was to have inherited this vast property. But because of his impudence, he was going to die at his father's hands. That was Hiranyakasipu's thought, that Prahlad Maharaj, as his legitimate son, was to have inherited this vast property. But because of Prahlad's impudence, Hiranyakasipu thought he was now going to die at his father's hands. Therefore, the demoniac father considered Prahlad the most unfortunate because Prahlad would not inherit his property. Hiranyakashipu did not know that Prahlad Maharaj was the most fortunate person within the three worlds because Prahlad was protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such are the misunderstandings of demons. They do not know that a devotee is protected by the Lord in all circumstances. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. So that last line was spoken by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. Kaunteya, the son of Kunti, pratijane name bhakta pranashyati. Declare it boldly that my devotee will never perish. So someone may ask, why did Krishna ask Arjuna to declare it? Why did he not declare it himself? And the answer is that in rare circumstances, Krishna may sometimes break his promise for a higher cause. But and therefore, he did not want to make the declaration himself. But Krishna always protects the words of his devotee, and therefore he wanted Arjuna to make the declaration, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashiti. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee will never perish. Text 13. Soham vata manasyaya shirakaya dharamite gopayeta haristvadya yaste sharanam ipsitam. Because you are speaking so much nonsense, I shall now sever your head from your body. Now let me see your most worshipable God come to protect you. I want to see it. Report. Demons always think that the God of the devotees is fictitious. They think that there is no God and that the so-called religious feelings of devotion to God is but an opiate, a kind of illusion, like the illusions derived from LSD and opium. Hiranyakashipu did not believe Prahlad Maharaj when Prahlad asserted that his Lord was present everywhere. Because Hiranyakashipu, as a typical demon, was convinced that there is no God and that no one could protect Prahlad, he felt encouraged to kill his son. He challenged the idea that the devotee is always protected by the Supreme Lord. Yes, Karl Marx, who was a great atheist, said that religion is the opiate of the people. Text 14. Evam duruktair mur adayam risha sutam mahabhagavatam mahasura kadgam pragrityot patito varasanat stambam tadat bal swamustina. Being obsessed with anger, Hiranyakashipu, who was very great in bodily strength, thus chastised his exalted devotee son Prahlad with harsh words. Cursing him again and again, Hiranyakashipu took up his sword, got up from his royal throne, and with great anger struck his fist against the column. Text 15. Tadaiva tasmin Nindato Tibhushano Babhuva Yenanda Katam Asputat Yam Vaisvadisnyo Bhagatam Twadajaya Shudva Svadamatyayam Angamenire. Translation. Then from within the pillar came a fearful sound which appeared to crack the covering of the universe. Oh, my dear Yudhisthira, this sound reached even the abode of the demigods like Lord Brahma. And when the demigods heard it, they thought, oh, now our planets are being destroyed. Purport. As we sometimes become very much afraid of the sound of a thunderbolt, perhaps thinking that our houses will be destroyed, the great demigods like Lord Brahma feared the thundering sound that came from the pillar in front of Hiranyakashipu. Text 16. Savikramam puja vades purojasa nishamya nirdanam apurvam adbhutam anta sabyanam Nadadarsha tat padam vitatrishuryena surari utapa. While showing his extraordinary prowess, Hiranyakashipu, who desired to kill his own son, heard that wonderful tumultuous sound which had never before been heard. Upon hearing the sound, the other leaders of the demons were afraid. None of them could find the origin of that sound in the assembly. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 7:8, Krishna explains himself by saying, Rasoham apsukontaya prabhasi sashi surayo pranava sarvavedeshu shabda ke purusham rishu. O son of Kunti, Arjuna, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability in man. Here the Lord exhibited his presence everywhere by the tumultuous sound in the sky, Sabda Ke. This tumultuous thundering sound was proof of the Lord's presence. The demons, like Hiranyakasipu, could now realize the supreme ruling power of the Lord. And thus Hiranyakashipu became afraid. However powerful a man may be, he always fears the sound of a thunderbolt. Similarly, Hiranyakashipu and all the demons who were his associates were extremely afraid because of the presence of the Supreme Lord in the form of sound, although they could not trace out the source of the sound. Text 17. Satyam vidatum nijabritya bashitam yaptim chabhutesh vakileshu chatmana adrishya tatsyad bhutarupam udvahan stambe sabhyam na mrigam na manusham. To prove the statement of his servant Prahlad Maharaj was substantial. In other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, exhibited a wonderful form never before seen. The form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Thus the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall. Report. When Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj, "Where is your Lord? Is he present in this pillar?" Prahlad Maharaj fearlessly replied, "Yes, my Lord is present everywhere." Therefore, to convince Hiranyakasipu that the statement of Prahlad Maharaj was unmistakably true, the Lord appeared from the pillar. The Lord appeared as half lion and half man, so that Hiranyakashipu could not understand whether the great giant was a lion or a human being. To substantiate Prahlad's statement, the Lord proved that his devotee, as declared in Bhagavad Gita, is never vanquished. Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhakta pranashyati, which we just now discussed. Prahlad Maharaj's demoniac father had repeatedly threatened to kill Prahlad, but Prahlad was confident that he could not be killed since he was protected by the Supreme Lord. By appearing from the pillar, The Lord encouraged his devotee, saying in effect, "Don't worry, I am present here." By manifesting his form as Narsimhadev, the Lord also preserved the truth of Lord Brahma's promise that Hiranyakashipu would not be killed by any animal or any man. The Lord appeared in a form that could not be said to be fully a man or a lion. Text 18. Sasattvam sasattvamenam parito vipashyam stambhasya madhyad anunirjahanam dayam mrigo napi naro vichitram ahom kimetan nimridendra rupam. While Hiranyakashipu looked all around to find the source of the sound, that wonderful form of the Lord, which could not be ascertained to be either a man or a lion, emerged from the pillar. In amazement, Hiranyakashipu wondered, what is this creature that is half man and half lion? Report. A demon cannot calculate the unlimited potency of the Supreme Lord. As stated in the Vedas, Parasya Shaktir Vivadaiva Shruyate Svabhavika Jnana Balakriya Cha. The different potencies of the Lord are always working as an automatic exhibition of his knowledge. For a demon, it is certainly wonderful that the form of a lion and the form of a man can be united. Since the demon has no experience of the inconceivable power for which the Supreme Lord is called all-powerful. Demons cannot understand the omnipotence of the Lord. They simply compare the Lord to one of them. Avajanante mamuda manusim tanumashritam. Mudas, rascals, think that Krishna is an ordinary human being who appears for the benefit of other human beings. Parambhavam ajanato. Fools, rascals, and demons cannot realize the supreme potency of the Lord, but he can do anything and everything. Indeed, he can do whatever he likes. When Hiranyakashipu received benedictions from Lord Brahma, he thought he was safe, since he received the benediction that he would not be killed by an animal or by a human being. He never thought that an animal and human being would be combined, so that demons like him would be puzzled by such a form. This is the meaning of the Supreme Personalities of Godhead's omnipotence. Text 19 to 22. Mema samasya samutigrato nishringarupas tadalam bayankam pratakta chami karachandalochanam varat sata keshara drimbyantam karaladam stram karavala chanchala shuranti jivam rukuti mukam bandam stabdorva Arnam Girikanda Bhuta Patasyana Sam Nanubeda Vishanam Visprishakayam Adriga Pivara Yidvor Vaksha Stalamal Pamadyam Chandram Sugorais Chritam Tanuraya Isha Bhujang Nika Satam Nakayo Durasadam Sarva Nite Taradya Praveksha Vidrat Daitadanavam. Hiranyakasipu studied the form of the Lord, trying to decide who the form of Narsimhadev standing before him was. The Lord's form was extremely fearsome, because of his angry eyes, which resembled molten gold, his shining mane, which expanded the dimensions of his fearful face, his deadly teeth, his razor-sharp tongue, which moved about like a dueling sword. His ears were erect and motionless. His nostrils and gaping mouth appeared like caves of a mountain. His jaws parted fearfully, and his entire body touched the sky. His neck was very short and thick, his chest broad, his waist thin, and the hairs on his body as white as the rays of the moon. His arms, which resembled flanks of soldiers, spread in all directions as he killed the demons, rogues, and atheists with his conch shell disc, club lotus, and other natural weapons. Text 23. Prayena meyam harino rumanya vadasmito nena samuditena kim evam bravam stvabi yapata gadyudo nadan rishingham pratidaiti kunjara. Hiranyakashipu murmured to himself, Lord Vishnu, who possesses great mystic power, has made this plan to kill me. But what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight with me? Thinking like this and taking up his club, Hiranyakashipu attacked the Lord like an elephant. Report. In the jungle, there are sometimes fights between lions and elephants. Here the Lord appeared like a lion, and Hiranyakashipu, unafraid of the Lord, attacked him like an elephant. Generally, the elephant is defeated by the lion, and therefore the comparison in this verse is very appropriate. Text 24. Alakshitogno patita patangamo yata nrsimho jasi so sarastada tatad vichitram kalusatvadamani swatejasa yonu varabhipattama. Translation. Just as a small insect falls forcefully into a fire, and the insignificant creature becomes invisible, when Hiranyakasipu attacked the Lord, who was full of effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible. This is not at all astonishing, for the Lord is always situated in pure goodness. Formerly, during creation, he entered the dark universe and illuminated it by his spiritual effulgence. Purport. The Lord is transcendentally situated in pure goodness. The material world is generally controlled by tamogun, the quality of ignorance. But the spiritual world, because of the presence of the Lord and his effulgence, is free from all contamination by darkness, passion, or contaminated goodness. Although there is a tinge of goodness in this material world, in terms of the Brahminical qualifications, such qualifications sometimes become invisible because of the strong prevalence of the modes of passion and ignorance. But because the Lord is always transcendentally situated, material modes of passion and ignorance cannot touch him. Whenever the Lord is present, there cannot be any darkness in the mode of ignorance. It is stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22:31. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Haya Andakar, Yahan Krishna Yahan Mayara Adhikar. Godhead is light, nescience is darkness. Where there is Godhead, there is no nescience. Srila Prabhupada chose this verse as the motto for his Back to Godhead magazine. This material world is full of darkness and ignorance of spiritual life. But by bhakti yoga, this ignorance is dissipated. The Lord appeared because of the bhakti yoga exhibited by Prahlad Maharaj. And as soon as the Lord appeared, the influence of Hiranyakashipu's passion and ignorance was vanquished as the Lord's quality of pure goodness, or the Brahman effulgence, became prominent. And that prominent effulgence, Hiranyakashipu became invisible, or his influence became insignificant. An example illustrating how the darkness of the material world is vanquished is given in the Shastra. When Brahma was created from the lotus stem growing from the abdomen of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Lord Brahma saw everything to be dark. But when he received knowledge from the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything became clear, as everything becomes clear when one comes from night to sunshine. The important point is that as long as we are in the material modes of nature, we are always in darkness. This darkness cannot be dissipated without the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is invoked by the practice of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga creates a transcendental situation with no tinges of material contamination. Text 25. Tato bipadya bhayanam mahasuro rushat nishingham gadayo rubegaya tam vikramantam sagadam gadadaro mahoragam tarkshasuto yatagrahit. Thereafter, the great demon Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry, swiftly attacked Narsimhadev with his club and began to beat him. Lord Narsimhadev, however, captured the great demon along with his club, just as Garuda might capture a snake. Text 26. Natasya sto kalitas tadasuro vikridito yadvatahir garut mata asadvamanyan tahritokasomara ganachada bharata sarvadishnapa. O Yudhisthira, O great son of Bharata, when Lord Narsimhadev gave Hiranyakasipu a chance to slip from his hand, just as Garuda sometimes plays with a snake and lets it slip from his mouth, the demigods who had lost their abodes and were hiding behind the clouds for fear of the demon did not consider that incident very good. Indeed, they were perturbed. Report. When Hiranyakashipu was in the process of being killed by Lord Narsimhadev, the Lord gave the demon a chance to slip from his clutches. This incident was not very much appreciated by the demigods, for they were greatly afraid of Hiranyakashipu. They knew that if somehow or other Hiranyakashipu escaped from Narsimhadev's hands and saw that the demigods were looking forward to his death with great pleasure, he would take great revenge upon them. Therefore, they were very much afraid. Text 27. Amanyamano nijavirya sankitam tadashta mukto niharim mahasura unastamasajata kadgacharmana pragriya bhagena gata shamomride. When Hiranyakasipu was freed from the hands of Narsimhadev, he falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his prowess. Therefore, after taking a little rest from the fight, he took up his sword and shield and again attacked the Lord with great force. Purport. When a sinful man enjoys material facilities, foolish people sometimes think, how is it that the sinful man is enjoying, whereas the pious man is suffering? I hear that question quite often. By the will of the Supreme, a sinful man is sometimes given the chance to enjoy the material world as if he were not under the clutches of material nature, just so that he may be fooled. A sinful man who acts against the laws of nature must be punished, but sometimes he is given a chance to play. Exactly like Hiranyakashipu when he was released from the hands of Narsimhadev. Hiranyakashipu was destined to be ultimately killed by Narsimhadev, but just to see the fun, the Lord gave him a chance to slip from his hands. Text 28. Tam shana vegam satachandra vartmabis charam tamachidram paryado hari Ritvatahasam karam utsvanol banam nimilitakshnam jagrihe mahajava. Making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, who is extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakasipu, who was protecting himself with his sword and shield, leaving no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu moved sometimes in the sky and sometimes on the earth. His eyes closed because of fear of Narsimhadev's laughter. Text 29. Vishvakspurantam Prahanataram Harir Vyalo Yatakum Kulisakshata Tvacham Vara Urumapatya Dadara Lilaya Nakaryatahim Garudo Mahabhisham. Translation. As a snake captures a mouse, or Garuda captures a very venomous snake, Lord Narsimhadev captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As Hiranyakasipu moved his limbs here, there, and all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Narsimhadev placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hands. Report. Hiranyakashipu had received from Lord Brahma the benediction that he would not die on the land or in the sky. Therefore, to keep the promise of Lord Brahma intact, Narsimhadev placed Hiranyakasipu's body on his lap, which was neither land nor sky. Hiranyakashipu had received the benediction that he would not die either during the day or at night. Therefore, to keep this promise of Brahma, the Lord killed Hiranyakasipu in the evening, which is at the end of day and the beginning of night, but is neither day nor night. Hiranyakasipu had taken a benediction from Lord Brahma that he would not die from any weapon or be killed by any person, dead or alive. Therefore, just to keep the word of Lord Brahma, Lord Narsimhadev pierced Hiranyakasipu's body with his nails, which were not weapons and were neither living nor dead. Indeed, the nails can be called dead, but at the same time, they can be said to be alive. To keep intact all of Lord Brahma's benedictions, Lord Narsimhadev paradoxically, but very easily, killed the great demon Hiranyakashipu. Narsimhadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Text 30. Samramba Dusprekshya Karalalochano Yatanatantum Ilahan Svajivaya Asrig Lavat Taruna Kesharanano Yatan Ramali Dipahatyaya Hari. Lord Narsimhadev's mouth and mane were sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes, full of anger, were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narsimhadev, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, resembled a lion that had just killed an elephant. Report. The hair on Lord Narsimhadev's face, being sprinkled with drops of blood, was reddish and looked very beautiful. Lord Narsimhadev pierced Hiranyakasipu's abdomen with his nails, pulled out the demon's intestines, and wore them as a garland, which enhanced his beauty. Thus the Lord became very fearsome, like a lion engaged in fighting an elephant. Text 31. Nakan Koru Patitarit Saroruham Vishudratasyanu Charanudayudan Ahan Samastan Nakashastra Panibir Dordandayuto Nupatam Sahasraja. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had many, many arms, first uprooted Hiranyakasipu's heart and then threw him aside and turned toward the demon's soldiers. These soldiers had come in thousands to fight with him with raised weapons and were very faithful followers of Hiranyakasipu. But Lord Narsimhadev killed all of them merely with the ends of his nails. Purport. Since the creation of the material world, there have been two kinds of men, the Devas and the Asuras. The Devas are always faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the Asuras are always atheists who defy the supremacy of the Lord. At the present moment, throughout the entire world, the atheists are extremely numerous. They are trying to prove that there is no God and that everything takes place due combinations and permutations of material elements. Thus, the material world is becoming more and more godless, and consequently, everything is in a disturbed condition. If this continues, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will certainly take action, as he did in the case of Hiranyakashipu. Within a second, Hiranyakashipu and his followers were destroyed. And similarly, if this godless civilization continues, it will be destroyed in a second, simply by the movement of one finger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demons should therefore be careful and curtail their godless civilization. They should take advantage of the Krishna consciousness movement and become faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, they are doomed. As Hiranyakasipu was killed in a second, the godless civilization can be destroyed at any moment. Text 32. Satavaduta jalada parapatan grahasta drishti vimushta rochisa ambo anaya swasahata vikshubir niradabita digba vichukrushu. The hair on Lord Narsimhadev's head shook the clouds and scattered them here and there. His glaring eyes stole the effulgence of the luminaries in the sky, and his breathing agitated the seas and oceans. Because of his roaring, all the elephants in the world began to cry in fear. Purport. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 10:41, Yad vibhutinat sattvam shriman urjitameva tad eva vagacha tvam mama tejo sasambhavan. Know that all beautiful, glorious, and mighty creations spring but from a spark of my splendor. The illumination of the planets and stars in the sky is but a partial manifestation of the Lord's effulgence. There are many wonderful qualities of different living entities, but whatever extraordinary things exist are but part of the Lord's tejas, his illumination or brilliance. The deep waves of the seas and oceans and the many other wonders within the creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead all become insignificant when the Lord, in his special feature, incarnates within this material world. Everything is insignificant in comparison to his personal, all-defeating, transcendental qualities. Text 33. Jayus tat sato kshipta vimanasa kula protsarpata kshama chapada bidita shaila sume petur abus yarambasa tate jasa kam kakubo narejire. Airplanes were thrown into outer space in the upper planetary system by the hair on the Narsimhadev's head. Because of the pressure of the Lord's lotus feet, the earth appeared to slip from its position, and all the hills and mountains sprang up due to his intolerable force. Because of the Lord's bodily effulgence, both the sky and all directions diminished in their natural illumination. Report. There were airplanes flying in the sky long, long ago. That there were airplanes flying in the sky long, long ago can be understood from this verse. Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken 5,000 years ago, and the statements of this verse prove that the symptoms of a very advanced civilization then existed, even in the upper planetary systems, as well as in the lower planetary systems. Modern scientists and philosophers foolishly explain that there is no civilization prior to 3,000 years ago, but the statement of this verse nullifies such whimsical judgments. The Vedic civilization existed millions and millions of years ago. It existed since the creation of this universe, and it included arrangements all over the universe with all the modern amenities and even more. 634. Tata Savayam Upavishtamutame Vipasane Sambrita Teja Samvibhum Alakshita Dvairatam At Yamarshanam Prachanda Vaktram Nabhaja Vasakashchana. Manifesting a full effulgence and a fearsome countenance, Lord Nrsimha, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. Report. When the Lord sat on the throne of Hiranyakashipu, there was no one to protest. No enemy came forward on behalf of Hiranyakashipu to fight with the Lord. This means that his supremacy was immediately accepted by the demons. Another point is that although Hiranyakashipu treated the Lord as his bitterest enemy, he was the Lord's faithful servant in Vaikuntha. And therefore the Lord had no hesitation in sitting on the throne that Hiranyakashipu had so laboriously created. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks in this connection that sometimes, with great care and attention, great saintly persons and rishis offer the Lord valuable seats dedicated with Vedic mantras and tantras, but still the Lord does not sit upon those thrones. Hiranyakashipu, however, had formerly been Jai, the doorkeeper at the Vaikuntha gate. And although he had fallen because of the curse of the Brahmins and had gotten the nature of a demon, and although he had never offered anything to the Lord as Hiranyakashipu, the Lord is so affectionate to his devotee and servant that he nonetheless took pleasure in sitting on the throne that Hiranyakashipu had created. In this regard, it's to be understood that a devotee is fortunate in any condition of his life. So, my dear devotees, thank you for listening so patiently and attentively. And now, if any of you have any questions or any comments, any reflections you would like to share, you can raise your hand, your physical hand or your virtual hand, and we will discuss further. Hare Krishna. Yes. Anjam.
Maharaj, pranam to your Shri Charan. Thank you for a beautiful session. I have no words to describe it. And honestly, I was having this conversation yesterday with a very senior Vaishnav about why it is said back to Godhead. Whereas I thought even going to God's lotus feet itself would be a great achievement, or like something to be really looked up to. I got an answer from the senior Vaishnav, but I was not very satisfied and very convinced with that. I think this session you created for me. Thank you, because that took my doubt. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Mercy.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Indulekha.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam.
Right.
So I came very clear today from your session. Thank you very much for this auspicious session for all of us. Certain time I was asking myself, like, why pious people are suffering, and the sinful people are getting a lot of happiness and fun and enjoy their life. So I came to know from this chapter that God intentionally sometimes gives opportunity and chances to the sinful people to enjoy the material life, and I mean the spiritual life as well, so they can be fooled and they can think themselves, realize, and try to come back. I will read it again and I will try to understand more with your mercy, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for helping us to learning in this way. Hare Krishna.
The very question was addressed in today's purport. Wonderful, beautiful.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dana Pranam.
Shastrakrit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, humble obeisances, augurs to Srila Prabhupada.
Hi.
We missed your class in Sadhu Sangha, but this evening we got the blessings. Thank you so much. I heard a recent pastime where the artists were drawing Hiranyakashipu and Narsimhadev, and they brought it to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada told him, more blood, more blood. He wanted to see more blood.
Yes.
So seeing you and
Wonderful,
animated,
wonderful painting that the artist did. Yeah.
yes, thank you, Maharaj. So seeing you and hearing the animated purports and translations of Srila Prabhupada, I can't help but to think of Dr. Nair, or not Dr. Nair, but the man Nair in the Juhu pastimes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see if there is anything comes to your mind that you can share, like some pastime in this connection.
Yes. Well, so yeah, one day I was walking on the street near Metro Cinema in Bombay, and there are vendors who sell magazines and newspapers on the sidewalk. And I just happened to look down and I saw a big headline, A.B. Nair is dead. So we phoned Srila Prabhupada, who was in New Zealand at the time, and gave him the news. And as we heard later, Srila Prabhupada folded his hands and said, "Thank you, Krishna. Thank you. I was praying for this. Mr. Nair had caused too much trouble to the devotees and the deities." And meanwhile, when I saw the headline, A.B. Nair is dead, I felt jubilant. But then I thought, I'm trying to be a devotee. Is it proper for a devotee to feel happy when someone dies? So I had that doubt. So I went to Juhu, and the devotees in Juhu were also jubilant, and they were distributing sweets. But still, I had doubt. Then we received a letter from Srila Prabhupada addressed to me and some of his other supporters in Bombay. And in the letter, Srila Prabhupada wrote, today I received a message that that Nair is dead. And if this is true, it is very good news. And Prahlad Maharaj says that even a saintly person takes pleasure when a snake or a scorpion is killed. And Nair was a big snake. So Srila Prabhupada was confirming that we were justified in feeling happy. Yeah, even a saintly person, even a sadhu, takes pleasure when a snake or a scorpion is killed. Hare Krishna.
Right. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Lord.
Randa Prabhu, you want to unmute yourself? Yeah.
Dandavat Pranam, Giriraj Swami Maharaj. Uh, my name is Prahlad Anandas, and I read your book, I'll Build You a Temple, back in 2021. And the book is so absorbing. And when I read that episode of Nair making you sit with that woman there,
Oh, yeah.
I realized that you must be blessed so much by Srila Prabhupada that you are in the position of Haridas Thakur and great devotees who can defeat Maya in such kind of, and you were so young at that time. So, I really admire that blessings you have from Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
I stay in Las Vegas where there is rampant Kali Yuga, and whenever I see all these things, I admire, devotees like you who Prabhupada Maharaj bless so much mercy on you, Prabhuji. Very well, thank you very much.
Hi. Wonderful, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this wonderful class and spending time with us today evening. And thank you for your blessing, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. And devotees, let's thank Maharaj by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times if you can unmute yourself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Hare Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Jai Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Guru Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for
Thank you,
giving
Guru
us
Maharaj.
So, my dear devotees, if we're going to end now, I suggest we conclude with Vaishnava Pranam. Let us offer our respectful obeisances.
Panchakapotarabhasya के पास इंद्रिय चकोटितान पावन
Guru Maharaj ki Jai.
Maharaj ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj ki Jai. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much.
Thank
Hare
you all for
Krishna.
joining.
Krishna, thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Maharaj.
Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Maharaj, with your permission, I will end this session. Thank you,
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Jai.
Jai.
Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Glories to
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Jai Shri Gurudev ki jai.
Maharaj, we want to see you so much, so we don't feel like ending the session also.
We all want
We'll keep
more
holding.
association.
We
We
don't
want to take your
leave the
darshan, so we don't
Maharaj.
feel like ending the session also.
We are feeling
Hri
Prabhupada's
Bol.
We are
presence.
so happy to see our Guru Maharaj.
Happy to see all of you.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, yes.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Ishwara Krishna, will you end it? Or?
Yes, Maharaj, I'm ending it. Thank you, Maharaj. Yeah, you just feel like keep looking at you. So yeah, I'm just trying to, but thank you, Maharaj. Yeah, I would end. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Trying to get more mercy.
Hare
Stop this now.